Good evening and welcome to tonight's Board of School Trustees meeting. We begin this meeting, as we do each meeting, with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we have roll call of members.
Good evening, Steve Corona from the 5th District.
Julie Hollingsworth, District 1.
Jennifer Mathias, District 2.
Ann Duff, Member at Large.
Riley Booker, District 4.
Noah Smith, District 3.
And to my left, we have Dr. Mark Daniel, Superintendent, and Angie Filler, Clerk of the Board. And I'm Maria Norman, Member at Large. All right. So this evening, we start with the consent agenda, which includes approval of minutes from the June 12th meeting, vouchers and payroll, and the personnel report. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Steve. Dr. Daniel, was there anything that you wanted to highlight?
After.
Okay, yes. That's becoming a thing.
It is.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The floor is yours.
Well, thank you. So we have a new Miami Middle School principal, Shane Krager. Shane, how are you? If you would go ahead and stand up. Shane joined us in 2001, English teacher at Elmhurst High School. In 2004, he moved to Northrop, where he taught the same subject, and 11 years later became the assistant principal at the school. In 2022, he became the assistant principal at Miami Middle School. So Shane is now moving into the principalship role, replacing Jeff King. So congratulations and wish you the best.
Welcome. All right, next on the agenda, we have HVAC equipment for rooftop replacement at various schools. It is recommended that the board approve the purchase of HVAC equipment for rooftop replacements at various schools from Mechanical Solutions of Indiana for $541,250. It looks like this was broken into two projects. And board members can see all that information there. This purchase will provide several single-zone HVAC rooftop air handling units for the above-named buildings. Oh, I guess I should probably name them. Brentwood, Holland, Northwood, Portage, Shamball, Washington, Indian Village, Northcrest, Tolles, and Studi. The equipment is being pre-purchased now and will be assigned to an HVAC contractor at a later date. The project will be funded by the ESSER grant. Darren Hess is here to answer any questions. And board members, you can see the two different bids there, again, with the bid going to Mechanical Solutions of Indiana. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Thanks, Ann.
Second.
Thanks, Julie. Any questions for Darren?
What's the lead time you're thinking on these? I know this was an area impacted, wasn't it, over the last 12
We had them list the lead times. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it was roughly at 34-week lead time, which we're going to install these next summer, so we should be in good shape.
I know you want to, but can you not leave real quick? I have a question for you after the meeting. Sure. Totally related to this.
Sure.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Darren? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next up is BenQ interactive displays with mobile carts. It is recommended that the board approve the purchase of 100 BenQ interactive displays with mobile carts from B&H Photo and Electronics Corp. of New York for $350,628. This purchase provides cart-mounted 75-inch 4K BenQ interactive displays to 47 elementary core subject classrooms, 48 for the initial implementation into some middle and high school math and science classrooms, and 5 additional units to be used throughout the district as needed. The interactive displays provide precise 40-point multi-touch functionality with internet connectivity, creating a responsive and interactive learning experience that promotes collaboration and creativity. Funding will come from the ESSER grant and the Common School Fund loan. Invitations to bid were sent to 10 prospective bidders with 3 responding. The original bid was 52 units. B&H agreed to hold this price for 48 additional units after CSF funds were confirmed by the state. And you'll see board members received those bids, and with B&H coming out at the top. And Kevin Grubel, technology manager, will be available to answer any questions. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Steve. Any questions for Kevin?
Kevin, I have several questions on these interactive screens. So if you could refresh my memory, these are the same screens that we, or very similar to, that we put into all of our elementary schools last year. Is that correct?
Yeah, the same style, same interactive screen, different manufacturer, but the same educational need, the use, and the technology, yeah.
Okay, and so at that point, we were putting them into all of our elementary core classes, and now we have additional classrooms that we're putting them into?
Yeah, so the initial purchase was based off the school year 21-22 numbers. So we were a year behind when we placed that order, just because of the numbers that we had. So this is coming back around, filling up the new allocations. Several schools have new classrooms that's being built. Arlington, Lincoln, Abbott, it's putting screens into there as well.
And so how did you decide which middle school and high school classrooms? Just the math and science rooms, or how was that decided?
So I don't know if we have exact locations for them just yet. Like I said, this is our first round through this. So I'll be working with the learning technology manager for exact placement. But we're gonna put these in as kind of a pilot and see how well they go and see if we can expand that.
Okay, I have a couple other questions then. I've seen these utilized. Jack used them in a couple presentations that we've used. I've seen them in a couple classrooms that the teachers are using, but I've also seen them sitting in a couple other classrooms that aren't necessarily being used. How and who teaches our teachers how to use this equipment? Because they are pretty cool and they do amazing things, but I'm a little bit concerned that our teachers aren't necessarily getting the training needed to utilize the technology that we're giving them.
So our technology district coordinators are the ones that help integrate that into the classroom. So they get around to the different schools as the principals allow them into the buildings for the training and stuff.
Okay, so we have a new teacher 2-week training, and there's new teachers coming into our district. Is that part of that? Maybe that's a Ramona question. Is that this training on this technology part of that 2-week training?
Different sessions that ignited that technology coordinators will be offering different sessions, and that's one of the content areas they'll cover. And then also last year or the year before, we first rolled these out to the schools that's using them. Again, the instructional technology coordinators in the tech department, they also had sessions that were basically where teachers could sign up, and then again they went to buildings where the technology was there that they could support building staff. So whether it was job embedded PL, that principals were bringing teachers together that morning, and they also did office hours at specific buildings.
So if a teacher wasn't in our building last year, or they didn't get the training, or what do we do to provide that for them now?
So we have building-based day PL that we'll be able to utilize with our teachers. We'll have the new teacher orientation days that we'll have. And then we have the district-wide PL day. And then also this year, with moving forward, that any professional learning as well as a refresher course will also have modules that teachers can actually engage in there that will show them how to integrate the systems within their classroom.
Okay, so Ignited will have a session on?
Yes, Ignited.
Yes.
Okay, because I was looking through that to see if there was a session for that, because I've spoke to several teachers that use these and love them. 3 to 5 times a day they're using them. They use them for sheets over. They were explaining really interesting things to me.
Sure.
But I've also talked to a few of the newer teachers who still thought it was a hands-on, trying to learn, And I'm all for putting technology in our classrooms, and these are large pieces of technology. I just want them to be able to utilize them and know who to call when they don't know what to do. Is it the instructional coach? Is it the technology department? Whom is the person to call up? I think that, I don't know if that's through Ramona or wherever, but we need to get that out to these teachers and the new teachers or people who came in halfway through that didn't get to sit in a session for this.
Yeah, and so to Ramona's point about this year's new teacher orientation is every new teacher will be going to Ignited. So they will have the whole curriculum map there of the sessions that they can go to, and they can choose the BenQ interactive session to go more in depth in that.
And Kevin, if I could just share that at new teacher orientation, that the technology instructional coordinators will be given an overview to all of the new teachers before Ignited to share with them exactly the sessions that they're going to be engaged in at that time.
Okay,
So
great.
that's another way that we're going to highlight for all of our new teachers, the professional learning from the technology department that will be there.
What about existing teachers? Do they go to Ignite, or are they required to go, or it's voluntary, or what, how's that work?
I'm sorry, no, I didn't.
Existing teachers, are they required to go to Ignite? Do they choose to go voluntarily, or how's that work?
They choose to go voluntarily.
What's our participation rate typically on that?
Well, right now it's 600.
Total, including new and staff and participants, or is that 600 attendees? Or
That's 600 registered participants.
is that just within our district or outside our district as well?
I can't answer how many's outside the district.
Because aren't people invited
I
from
just
outside
got
the
the
district?
numbers today,
Okay.
that was 600.
Are people invited from outside our district too?
Yes, they are.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right. I guess I agree, and I've heard similar comments from that Jennifer had mentioned about some teachers really liking it, some teachers not knowing what to do with it. What have you heard, or what can you share with us? Are good stories about it or challenges about it? I mean, I assume there's no way to really track the utilization of these things unless we have, Jack, I'm sure you can come up with a way, but I don't know that we can really, track the utilization of these things. But I think also to Jennifer's point, these are pretty expensive items, probably maybe the most expensive item in each of our classrooms. So are we getting our bang for our buck?
So I really wish our learning technology coordinators were here, but they're all at a conference, so you're stuck with me. All the way down into kindergarten, these kiddos are coming up and doing exercises on the screen. A lot of our classrooms don't have, or at least I don't believe they have boards in them. So the ability to take a Google Sheet or a slide deck and to splash on a screen and to have the kids go up and write on that and not have to hand out a piece of paper, not to hand out or be on the computer. It's interactive. You could have kids stand side by side and do math manipulatives or whatever else you wanted to do on its screen. The teacher just clears the screen, the next kid's up, and so it's a touch. So for me, I'm a touch it, feel it guy. So if I can touch that instruction, it would linger with me more. So seeing that in the lessons plan, that's some of the good stories we've heard. Unfortunately, I've not heard of them sitting around. I can look into that to get those used, but yeah.
I just think we have some new teachers that are overwhelmed by everything that's coming at them, and then we present this big piece of technology and them trying to integrate it, and maybe they just need more support with it. Back to your question about the sheets. Is it true that you can, if the kids are up there working on a sheet, like 3 of them up there individually, the teacher can save that page, unlike a chalkboard where you would erase it? Can the teacher then save the child's work that they've done to be able to review and see kind of where?
Yes.
Okay. That's one of the benefits I've heard that has been very well received, that they can save that work instead of, telling a kid to come up and work a math problem on a chalkboard that they have to erase.
Right.
The teacher then can be looking at all the kids. So I'm not saying it's bad by any means. I'm just asking that our teachers have that opportunity to learn how to use them better if they aren't utilizing them to their full potential.
Yeah. And I'd say if the teachers do need additional help, kind of to your question earlier, reach out to the instructional coach, reach out to the district technology coordinator. We're going to start looking at our technicians of trying to get them into the classroom more. Some of the Chromebooks have alleviated a little bit of our time. So we're going to look to try to get them into the classroom more this year.
Okay, great.
Don't we have people from the technology department that are assigned to different schools and that spend time in our buildings to help with things like that?
The technicians?
Yes.
Yes, so we have network technicians that are assigned in elementaries. I think they have 3 schools assigned to them.
Okay.
And then the middle schools, they have 2, and then high schools have a dedicated tech just because of the number of devices. So they do get around to each of the device, typically multiple times a week. But due to previous workloads, they haven't had the availability to get into the classroom as much as we'd like them to.
But then we also have district technology coordinators that are assigned buildings. So if a building has a need, they can reach out to them, and they're more on the instructional side. So they also, will share the engagement strategies because they're teachers themselves.
Okay.
So that we have them as well.
So we do have supports in place to help
Yes.
our teachers with this
Yeah.
technology. Okay.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
I'll just add this as well. So we're also working on how do we track that this professional learning has occurred, so then we can document the hours and answer more specifically the questions you're asking as well. So we can say, yes, this has been presented, and like everything, and I completely agree, technology can be very complex, it can be very time absorbing. So I may see one presentation, it doesn't mean I've mastered that tool. So I need to have this also with what Ramona was saying. How do we put that in a module so then I can go back and have that refresher? Or I can get with another colleague and really bringing together the instructional coaches, our IT folks, our curriculum coordinators, those folks coming together as a team. And I'll be very direct about this. Our lowest performing schools will be targeted first and foremost because they have the greatest need for gains. We've got to move them we've got to move them above 70 and keep that track going. But we needed a way to be able to track that training, and Ramona and Jack have been working on that as well, because we want to be able to answer your questions next spring, saying how many hours was devoted to this, what have you seen usage being, and then hopefully, what have been some of the student outcomes. Not just anecdotal, but can you actually create some quantitative data, i.e. associated with achievement. So, and again, those focus areas right now are primarily your core subjects, math and, our literacy and mathematics. But it could certainly go into other areas like science and social studies and other areas as well. But continuing it's always about can we kick this up to another level? Create the training, but also document the training, and then ultimately, how do you manage that training?
Dr. Daniel, I'm glad you mentioned outcomes because that's one of my concerns. We invite all this technology in, and it's wonderful for the teachers or whatever, but ultimately it's the outcomes we're trying to receive from our students, and how is that technology benefiting the students that are using that? And
Right.
so those are why I've had a lot of questions
Sure.
about the technology.
They're very good questions, and I'll agree with you. It's when you're trying, especially a first year teacher, you're trying to acclimate to a new world, if you will, and it's like being fed, water from the fire hose. So I think us having a more systematic way, but also a way to continuously learn and refresh, I think that's very, very important. So, but I also would like to say principals, assistant principals, is Shane still here? Are we also being instructional leaders in our building and ensuring that these things are happening to support our teachers where they need assistance? Again, not a gotcha thing, but how do we assist you? How do we bring that training to you? Or I will say a major shift. How do we bring our own internal experts, teachers teaching teachers? And you heard what your example was, students teaching students by showing the examples too. That peer-to-peer, so powerful. And how do we really promote that? So I can see us having a 30-minute staff training after school. We're still within contract hours. Document the training. And we're working on ways where that's going to be easily done, not another thing to place on the principal's plate, but at the same time it is documentation, and a teacher just merely needs to attend, log on to our system, and it's now part of human capital, HCMU, and it's documented. So we're pretty close to that, right, Jack and Ramona?
We are.
Yes.
So
This is another topic I'd love to, we've seen a lot of different videos about our schools and some of the things we do. This is, you know, seeing a classroom interactively using this and getting benefit, as Jennifer said, out of it would be a fun one to watch.
fun one to watch, yeah.
Throwing out there to Mary Kay. She's in the background, so.
That's right. And that is one of the strengths about our district. We have these tools. And again, I'd like to say if I'm a new teacher, wow, you know, grab onto this and utilize this, because not all districts have this. And we're very, very fortunate because of some of our streams, funding streams. But again, how do we use that as an asset and as a point of drawing more teachers to us? Yeah.
Great.
Keep up the good work, you guys.
Any other questions for Kevin? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next up, we have the School Technology Advancement Account Application, or STAA. It is recommended that the board approve the application for and the receipt of advancement from the STAA in the amount of $551,320 for the 23-24 school year. The STAA provides funds annually for school systems to purchase computer technology for student instruction. The Fort Wayne Community Schools uses these monies to fund learning and technology plans of schools. The request of $551,320 is based on the guideline provided by the state of $500 for each 25 students. Funds are provided in the form of a loan with a very low interest rate. The last loan under this program had an interest rate of 1%. Funds would be budgeted in the debt service fund to repay this loan beginning in 2025, and Kevin, the technology manager, is still here to answer any questions. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Jennifer. Any questions for Kevin?
I just have one. It says that the board to approve the application for, so we're going to apply, but also receive receipt of advancement. So we applied and got approved already?
So if Kathy can help me out here, we're writing up the application now. That's what's being approved tonight. We'll file that application with the state, and then we'll receive the funding a month or two here in the future, and then we'll actually be able to purchase what's in the budget.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks, Kevin. Okay, so that brings us to our board member comments. Steve Corona.
Have a happy 4th. Keep your fun to sparklers.
Ditto.
No comments.
Yeah, and remember those dogs. That's all I have to say.
I was just gonna say what Steve said.
Well, I'll add that, but I will also add one more thing. Sometimes public officials get asked or challenged to do certain things, and sometimes they can accommodate you, and sometimes they can't. A couple years ago at Black Hawk Middle School, which is right around the corner from me and where my daughters attend school, there were 2 accidents where 2 children were struck by moving vehicles. And this last month, and I can't remember, you might have said something, or somebody might have said something previously, I forgot, but this last weekend I was driving by and the light was active and working. So I just want to thank the city. Nothing any of us could do here that we learned quickly as constituents were calling us. But we got some information through Darren and his team and through Dr. Daniels about who to contact at the city, and many folks I do know reached out to them after reaching out to me or others on this panel. And the city responded, a little slower than we'd hoped, but they got it out there. So I just want to thank you, the city, and appreciate their support on that. Hopefully they'll make our streets a little safer around there. That's all.
Dr. Dale?
Well, I did open the journal because that paper this morning and saw the article about our Northside student who's heading to Notre Dame. Not this year, he'll be a senior this year, so Mr. Johnson. So it was I think Faye and I, Dr. Robbins and I had a little bit of a discussion. We thought, man, what if we had a billboard that listed our students that are going to the Ivy League type schools and put that out there so people can see oh my goodness. I mean, that's a wonderful thing to see one of our students. And if you read the article, you know, he did such a nice job of speaking to the press and saying how grateful he was for people who've been his support system. It was just a very uplifting article, and I can say it's proud to be a Fort Wayne Northside legend. Alum, that is. All right.
I have no comment as well.
Move adjourned, Madam President.
Thank you, Noah. Thank you, Julie. All those in favor of
Aye.
adjournment? Aye. Thank you.
To leave the record.